Well, good morning, and welcome to the Morning Report. The Morning Report, a collection of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. My name is Willie Lawson. Welcome to the Morning Report. We appreciate you being here today. Hope you had a great weekend. We had a pretty good weekend around here at the Fightback Media Mansion. Things were calm and peaceful. I worked my other job. It was cool. Uh, it, it's just, folks, it's not stopping. Now, some of you who thought it would stop or slow down, I know you're very, very disappointed. And some of you may even be afraid. But I'm going to tell you this. It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop. All we can do is be informed and be prayed up. That's all you can really do. And that's what we're going to continue to do. Listen, if you've liked what you've seen in the past few days, we got a lot of folks who are watching, a lot of folks who are sharing. We appreciate it. There is growth happening. And sometimes, if you do this, you wonder if there's any growth going on. If you wonder, what do I got to do? You take the classes, you do the challenges, you spend a little money and sometimes nothing. But like I said, you are our marketing department. If you're sitting there naked, eating a bag of Cheetos on a beanbag chair, yeah, you are our marketing department. If you like it, tell your friends, share the videos, watch, comment, share the videos. The watching is cool. The commenting gets the algorithm's attention. The sharing really gets its attention, and it doesn't cost you any money. I don't have to get on here and start begging for money. Now, I will get on here and start begging for money, but I'd like not to. Anyway, we're going to take a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. Discover adventure flying. Chances are, if we ask you to name a sports car or a sports bike, you could do it. But what about a sport plane? The Icon A5 is meant not for commercial or commuter flight, but rather to enjoy the sheer adventure of flying. It turns flying from a mode of transportation to a sport. What flying was meant to be. So are you ready to start your A5 adventures? Owning an Icon A5 is as easy as flying. With a streamlined sales process, world-class customer service, and service and training partners across the country, purchasing and owning your A5 is a breeze. If you are interested in owning an A5, send your contact information to fightbackmedia@gmail.com. That's fightbackmedia@gmail.com. All right, welcome back. We appreciate it. So often, and this is what I think has been fantastic in the past few years, and I mean, really fantastic. A lot of times when we say something that the left is doing is up to, and then we get this report back from major media sources, this isn't even happening. I don't know why they're talking about this. It's not happening. Why are they passing laws? Why are they having rallies? They're just mean. However, in recent years, several school districts have been ousted for keeping parents in the dark about their child's gender transition at school. We have found out that this is happening, and not just in California. I mean, places around the country, places that you wouldn't You wouldn't think. There were school districts in Virginia and Kansas, and of course California, that were exposed for concealing this information from parents. And last year, Senate Republican Tim Scott from South Carolina introduced legislation that would prevent schools from hiding information about a student's gender identity from their parents. What's what gets me is how in the hell does any school district, anything that has to do with your children, find it okay to withhold information from you, the parent? The same parent, if your kid doesn't go to school, the police show up at your door, right? Or if a teacher thinks that you whipped your kids last night because they were misbehaved, I mean, there's CPS knocking at your door. But they think that they can withhold important psychological information, medical information about your child from you. Joy Reid said this, a few years ago, that the children that we have to get out of this idea that children belong to their parents. Children belong to the collective. And this is, she said the quiet part out loud. These people believe that the children belong to the collective, that they don't belong to you, especially if you're not down with whatever the agenda is. So documents obtained from the parental rights organizations, Parents Defending Education, and reviewed by Town Hall show that Pueblo School District 60 in Colorado has guidelines to keep gender identity secret from parents. According to documents obtained by PDE, the schools supporting transgender and gender nonconforming students and staff guidelines say the following: the school shall accept the gender identity that each student asserts, and there is no medical or mental health diagnosis or treatment threshold that students must meet in order to have their gender identity recognized and respected. Students ready to socially transition may initiate a process at the school to change their name, pronoun, and access to programs, activities, and facilities consistent with their gender identity. So your kid who's 13, 12, going through some stuff in their head, decides that she's not a little girl anymore, that she wants to be she identifies as a little boy. Madeline wants to be Max. So she just goes to her teacher and goes, I'm not Madeline, I'm Max. Doesn't matter. No one sends her to mental health counseling. No one calls the school psychologist. They definitely don't call you. They don't call the school psychologist. They don't send her to the nurse. They go, okay, you're 12, right? So they changed the records on her school records to Max. So when you call in to ask about how Madeline's doing, they don't know who the hell you're talking about. My daughter, Madeline. We have a Max Smith at that address. We don't have a Madeline. Do you see? Do you see? So now you show up at school angry and confused, and then they arrest you and put you in jail. And then CPS, Child Protective Services, knocking at your door, sweeping Madeline out. Because now Madeline belongs to the collective and is And in this affirming care is being encouraged to participate in society as Max. Although that was a fleeting thing that Madeline had going on for a week, and now it's becoming a lifestyle. And Madeline doesn't have any mental capacity to back out, only to go forward because all the adults in her life, except for you, because you've been blocked out of her life, are pushing her towards being Max until she's an adult, completely jacked up. Hmm. In addition, the school district added the document that staff should staff involve parents and guardians in the implementation of these guidelines and processes of the social transition at school to support the students' well-being at school, but should first discuss the parental involvement with the student and avoid inadvertently putting the student at risk or at harm by contacting the student's parents. So yeah, you should get a hold of them, but if the kid says, "Please don't tell my mom," "Please don't tell my dad," which ought to be the red light, the red flag that says, "Get on the damn phone and call their parents." "Please don't call my mom. She'll be really mad. She goes to church." You see how this is playing out. We all see how this is playing out, right? So they won't. Adding that students who are transgender and gender nonconforming have the right to discuss their and express their gender identity and express openly to decide when and with whom and how much to share private information. So your 11-year-old, first of all, this is back up. Right to privacy. Where is that guaranteed? Oh, wait. Where is the right to privacy guaranteed? Where? Where's the right to privacy in a public organization like a school system? Where's that guaranteed? In what document? Where is the right for children, children, minors, to have privacy from their parents? Where? There isn't any. The child doesn't have the right to privacy from me. They don't. As long as I am legally responsible for them, they do not have the right to privacy from me. Now we can talk about if in our homes if we want to respect their privacy from this and that as how we do our family. That's one thing, but to have that codified in some school board policy is BS. In the guidance, the school districts instructs the staff to use students' chosen names and preferred pronouns. So they're asking them, telling them that if Madeline wants to be called Max and wants to be talked about as a boy, and you say when you refer to Madeline, you got to say Max and you got to say he and you got to say him. So you have to participate and encourage the dysphoria. If they are beginning the process of socially transitioning. And I what that sounds like to me is like they're letting their friends know. And you can see this in some kids. Especially little girls. They wear the things that squinch down their little breasticles, so they look more like a boy. They usually wear, if they can't cut their hair, they wear hats, that kind of stuff. This is clear evidence. This ought to just be right out there. How pervasive gender identity has become in our public schools. What we are seeing in Pueblo is the latest example of radical policies that assault parental rights and erode transparency. Malin Salabaria, the director of community engagement at PDE, told Town Hall, for a working class community that prides itself in local control, it is outrageous to see how parents, the most local decision makers of all, being obliterated by these policies that also compel the speech of the teachers and the school staff. To add injury to insult, we are talking about a district that is academically ranked in the bottom half of our entire state. Only 12% of the students are proficient in math, and 30% read at grade level. So you've got this school district that has a lot bigger problems than Madeline getting her feelings hurt if someone calls her by her name and calls her by her pronoun. You got bigger problems going on, but this is what they choose. This is what they choose to focus on. And I'll tell you why. You wonder why. Because these working class folks are being used as a lab. That's right, you heard me. Poor people and people who struggle are always being used as some sort of mice for their little experiments and little experiments with policies to see how they're going to go over with the masses. That's what's going on here. Last month, a poll released by parental rights organizations Parents Defending Education, PDE, found that 74% of registered voters believe that schools should not help students change their gender identity without parental consent. And the House Republicans introduced H.R. 5, known as the Parental Bill of Rights, to protect parental involvement in education. Excuse me. The legislation gives parents the right to know what is being taught in schools and to see reading materials, and the right to be heard, the right to see the school budget and spending, and the right to protect their child's privacy, and the right to be updated on any violent activity at school. Now that seems insane to me, that this has to be a federal law. But this is a battle that there needs to be some federal law. And what he was more insane is that the chances of Joe Biden actually signing this bill into law are zero. Basically saying that parents don't have the right to see what their kids are being taught in school, that they don't have the right to have access to the reading material, that they don't have a right to protect their child's privacy as a parent sees fit, and they don't have the right to be updated on any violent activity at the school. And they don't have the right to be heard. They don't have the right to see the school budget or spending. This is what a veto of H.R. 5 is. This is the elite saying that parents, you and I, do not have the right. Folks, if you think things are normal, and if you think this isn't coming to your school district, you are wrong. You have a say in your kids' education, not government, and not telling you what to do, McCarthy said in remarks to the Capitol on the day the bill was announced. It just continues. It just continues. Like it's not going to stop, ladies and gentlemen, until we stop it. It's not going to stop unless we stop it. And in order to stop it, we're going to have to, how can I say this nicely? I can't. And I know that I had, and she's probably gone, probably already unsubscribed, a viewer that said that I needed to stop cursing. I don't think I curse all that much. I don't think I curse at all, really, to any level that anybody would notice or be offended by. But until we stop it, once we have the cojones, the guts, the intestinal fortitude, the huevos to stop it and put up with whatever, because the beast is going to fight back and scream and yell and spit. So, fact of the matter is that no, this is not how we're going to run our. This is not how we're going to run our school district. This is not what you're going to do to my kid. Sorry, because this is everywhere. Virginia Democrats lost monumentally in November 2021, when now Governor Glenn Youngkin ran on and was elected on education and protecting parental rights. While the governor looks to make good on his promises, state Democrats keep getting in the way. As Fox News reported on Wednesday, State Senator Monty Mason and the state delegate Shelley Simons, there you go, both Democrats can be heard on recordings shared by the Republican state-led leadership committee criticizing Republicans over Senate Bill 1515, which requires pornography websites to verify a user's age and to be at least 18 before content can be accessed. Okay, I want to talk about that for just a second. Right now, I think one of the largest porn websites in the world is Pornhub. Pornhub would have to get information from like a driver's license and do that kind of thing to ensure that nobody under 18. All they can do is ask, and they ask, and people lie. They already asked, but they'd have to get some sort of verification, which means that you'd have to send them some sort of information that they'd have to somehow verify. I don't know if that's workable. Mason also mocked an amendment from the governor which failed, that would have required children to get parents' permission to set up social media accounts and use websites that collect user data. Speaking about bills that were of consequence, Monty pointed out that Youngkin slapped that online parental garbage pornography bill. He also mocked the extra steps to require verification for making online purchases as stupid. Okay, so Monty, the Senate Democrat in Virginia, said, we should find a way that these kids can't get involved in pornography online. Now, I understand the difficulty of that and the verification and all that stuff. I also understand the difficulty about parents having to let their kids be on social media. And if this is a parental rights bill, my thing for you is, and you already know, if you don't want your kids to be on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat or whatever, the two or three of them out there that I don't really know about because I ain't 12. That's something that parents are going to have to handle in their own house. We, as conservative Christian parents, are going to have to stop abdicating that responsibility to some law. We're going to have to face the beast in our own home ourselves. I don't think it's garbage. I think that is, and I appreciate the attempt. I appreciate the thought behind it, but mocking the attempts as parental crap, as Del Simmons did, is foolishness. If you want to know how to do it, on the fightbackmedia.com website, if you scroll all the way down the first page, is the Florida Parental Rights Bill law. Read it. Make a copy of it. Send it to your state legislature. erase Florida, put your state in it. Do it like that. All right, we're going to go a little break. We'll be back with more of the program right after these messages. Discover adventure flying. Chances are, if we asked you to name a sports car or a sports bike, you could do it. But what about a sport plane? Icon A5 is meant not for commercial or commuter flight, but rather to enjoy the sheer adventure of flying. It turns flying from a mode of transportation to a sport. What flying was meant to be. So are you ready to start your A5 adventures? Owning an Icon A5 is as easy as flying. With a streamlined sales process, world-class customer service, and service and training partners across the country, purchasing and owning your A5 is a breeze. If you are interested in owning an A5, send your contact information to fightbackmedia@gmail.com. That's fightbackmedia@gmail.com. All right. This is another story, in my opinion, that we're going to see go away pretty soon. An illegal immigrant from Mexico who had previously been deported multiple times is the suspect in the killing of a family from Honduras and is currently on the run from a large law enforcement contingent. San Jacinto County Sheriff Greg Capers told reporters that had Francisco Opresa consulate card, which linked him to the shooting. So they had his card. Police say that he shot 5 of his neighbors with an AR-15, including an 8-year-old boy, after they asked him to stop shooting on his property late at night. Now, we heard this story, right? We heard the story that this family said, "Could you stop doing that?" And this dude decided, "Screw it, I'll just kill him," and then he's off, right? Now, this was going to be another what? Another ban gun story. This is going to be another ban the gun story. This is going to be the whole concept of gun violence. There you go. Let me stop there before I go on and finish this up. I'm trying to get as much packed in here as I can. This idea that we're using the terminology, I say to people in my house all the time and people in my circle, watch the language that they use. We have to stop this gun violence. Like somehow they're still focusing on the implement of evil and not the evil itself. Violence is violence. Evil is evil. Right? Cain killed Abel with a rock. God didn't make all the rocks go away. And it seems super simplistic, and it almost seems obtuse to some that when you say it wasn't the gun, it was a human being. The gun doesn't suck. The human beings suck. People get hit with hammers. People get pushed out of windows, down flights of steps, stabbed with kitchen knives. All of it terrible. get beaten to death with up somebody's fist. Holy mackerel. So when you start hearing the term gun violence, your your spidey sense to start tingling, because it's not about that. It's never have been. They can't solve that problem by dealing with the implement. We have to deal with the implementer. That makes sense to you? Well, of course it does, because you watch this and you're smart. Anyway, this story is going to go away because it is not some wild-eyed, you know, ultra MAGA supporting person who did this terrible thing. It's one of the people that Donald Trump talked about, that Mexico is sending us their murderers and their rapists. That's what we're talking about. This is the person who is now on the loose, somebody who is here illegally. That's what we're talking about. These poor innocent folk, poor innocent souls. We should just open our portals to them. They're just trying to find a better life. Yeah. And this SOB killed a family of Hondurans for telling them not for asking him not to shoot his gun in their yard. You know what? At night. The victims in the shooting are Sonia Argentina Guzman, 25 years old, that Diana Velasquez Alvarado, 21 years old, Jalisco Molina Rivera, 31 years old, Jonathan Cesares, 18 years old, and Daniel Enrique Lasso, 8 years old. Y'all kill me. Another aside. Hey, listen, my Spanish folks. How did it be 5 people living in a house and ain't nobody got to, and none of these people have the same last name? The hell? This 8-year-old, Daniel Enrique Lasso, and his mother, Sonia Argentina Guzman, were both killed execution style by Francisco Oropeza in Cleveland, Texas. He's still on the run. Former U.S. Customs and Border Protection Commissioner Mark Morgan confirmed to Town Hall Security Secretary, confirmed to Town Hall, Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who needs to be impeached, was briefed on the situation, but when asked about doing a Sunday interview, Mayorkas said he could not provide a comment on the ongoing investigation. ICE agents are not only prevented from enforcing the law, which clearly jeopardizes public safety, but they are being muzzled when it comes to traditional public information because it could undermine their open borders agenda, Morgan said. Worse than that, after several deportations and reentries, which are felonies, he was not an ICE priority under Secretary Mayorkas' priority memo. So ICE was not even looking for him. Now that he's murdered 5 innocent people, now he's a priority. Too little, too late. My name is Willie Lawson. This has been The Morning Report. The Morning Report is a production of fightbackmedia.com, 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 and fightbackmediatv.com. We got to get out of here and make room for somebody else. So until we see you again, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. That way you'll know when we post. Bye-bye now.